everyone, it's your friend Rena. Recently, I was talking to someone about how I decided to give up sugar 14 years ago and how that completely transformed my life, both physically and mentally. I lost 30 pounds, my skin became much more radiant and glowing and less dull, and my energy increased dramatically. But there was an additional benefit I wasn't expecting that was a huge happy surprise. And it hit me. I've never shared this story with you guys. So today, we're gonna deep dive into the world of sugar and why understanding exactly how sugar is processed by the body and the brain can be such a game changer and literally change your life in ways you probably can't even imagine the way it changed mine. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not here to sugar shame or preach sugar abstinence. I just wanted to share my story so you could learn about it, and maybe it'll be a total game changer for you like it has been for me. Okay, picture this. You take a bite of warm, freshly baked chocolate chip cookie straight from the oven. The sweetness hits your tongue and bam, a surge of dopamine floods your brain. Dopamine is like our body's personal happy dance chemical, so to speak. It makes us feel good, rewarded, and wanting more. This is exactly why sugar can be so addictive.
So when you started doing this research back in 2009, what kind of things did you find out?
Basically, I found out that food scientists are geniuses, or actually more like villains if you want to know the truth. Because they know about the dopamine connection and they use it to their advantage. I mean, they design their products to trigger that dopamine rush, making them super appealing and hard to resist. Because sugar is literally addictive. It's not just sugar either. It's anything sweet, high fructose corn syrup, agave, honey, and even artificial sweeteners. And it's not just desserts either. I mean, many food brands pack in hidden sugars to make them more appealing. Foods like bread, salad dressing, pasta sauce, ketchup, granola, yogurt, crackers. I mean, I'm not saying those foods are bad. I'm just saying they tend to be loaded with sugar or some other form of sweetener. Because the food companies know that adding anything sweet makes us crave more of that food. So they add it to appeal to our taste buds and make us consume even more. That's how they hook us. To be honest, I think it's just as irresponsible as cigarette companies back in the day, knowing that nicotine is addictive and that it can kill you, yet shamelessly encouraging smoking anyway. But back to sugar. So yeah, it is addictive. Here's the kicker. That initial sugar high you get after eating something sweet is a total illusion. Our bodies have to work overtime to regulate blood sugar after that spike, leading to a crash that leaves us feeling sluggish. And guess what? Craving even more sugar to get that dopamine rush back up. It's a vicious cycle, but I didn't know any of that 14 years ago.
So 14 years ago, you quit sugar? What made you do that? I mean, that wasn't a thing back then, was it?
No, I mean, tell me about it. My friends and family thought I was completely nuts. Literally, they'd roll their eyes and ask me why in the world would anyone want to quit sugar? They thought I was weird. They tried to convince me over and over that it was natural and harmless. You know, this was way back in 2009, so not many people were talking about the harmful effects of sugar back then. I mean, back then we all knew sugar's not good for your teeth and that sweets are empty calories meant to be consumed in moderation. But not many people knew it was addictive and that it had similar dopamine effect in your brain as cocaine. Like no one. Trust me, I had a really hard time even finding information about it.
Well, what made you want to research sugar in the first place?
Well, back then I had a pretty normal sweet tooth. I liked ice cream, brownies, chewy cookies, chocolate, caramel candy sometimes. Werther's were a total favorite. But I actually didn't eat that many sweets. Maybe a cookie or ice cream cone now and then. But I loved bread, pasta, crackers, healthy cereal, you know, those yummy carbs. And then I should also let you know that I had a sporadic, unpredictable pain in my joints now and then, apparently from an autoimmune condition I have. Yeah, so once in a while, one of my joints, it was always just one joint, such as my thumb, my knee, my ankle, my elbow, would flare up and become inflamed and painful. And it made normal, everyday activities really difficult. I mean, try brushing your teeth when your thumb joint hurts so much that you can't even hold the toothbrush. And the worst part was that it was totally unpredictable. I never knew knew when that would happen. My doctor offered me special pain medication to have on hand for those days when that happened, but I didn't want to, pop pills without first seeing if I could manage it myself without medication. So I decided to try to figure out what triggered the pain and inflammation through my own trial and error. Over the next few months, I tried so many things. I tried drinking a ton of water every day. I tried cutting out all dairy. I actively practiced yoga and meditation for an hour every day, since both physical and emotional stress can trigger inflammation. That didn't work either, although I love yoga and meditation, and I continue to do both of those things. Then, one day after Halloween, I ate a few little pieces of my kids' Halloween candy, and the next day, my ankle flared up big time, and it was difficult and painful to walk. Oh, I forgot to mention, when I got these inflammation flare-ups, it would last for like 4 or 5 days, so it really negatively impacted my life. And I remember thinking, I just had a bunch of candy yesterday. I wonder if that could be the culprit. Now remember, this was 2009, so people were not talking about the negative effects of sugar back then. Matter of fact, when I brought it up with my doctor, he said there was no data or evidence of that. But when I noticed it happened again the day after I ate a piece of birthday cake with ice cream, I just knew I had to find out more about sugar from scientists and medical specialists who studied it. So I dove in, did all the research I could, and I'm telling you, I learned a ton. There were hardly any books about sugar back then, believe it or not, but I found a book on Amazon called Suicide by Sugar by Nancy Appleton and G.N. Jacobs that basically changed my life. They explain in the book exactly what happens inside your body and brain when you eat sweet foods. I was floored. I had no idea how hard various organs in your body have to work just to get your blood levels back to normal. Turns out it is very taxing on your system, and many years of having to do that can cause your body to wave the white flag and say, I quit, I just can't do this anymore. And that's what leads to type 2 diabetes. So after reading that book, I decided to quit all added sugars for 30 days just to see what would happen. Now, at the time, I knew, like I'm sure you do, that eating too much sugar is just obviously not good for us if we have too much. We've all felt that experience of eating way too much candy or dessert and then just completely crashing later and feeling totally sluggish. Yeah, and we also know that there are more severe consequences of eating too much sugar, like it can cause tooth decay and weight gain and even diabetes, as I alluded to before, but we still eat a lot of it. Sugars come in many forms, and anything you see in the list of ingredients that ends in OSE is a sweetener of some kind. According to a recent study from the Angeles Institute, the average American is eating around 71 grams of added sugar per day, or 57 pounds of added sugar every year. Let me just clarify, I'm talking about added sugar. Sweeteners you add to your foods or get added to your foods by the foods manufacturers. I'm not talking about, say, the fructose that you find in whole fruits. So when I decided to go without sugar for 30 days, my goal was just to avoid added sugar and all sweeteners, even natural ones like honey and agave, as well as artificial sweeteners. So that meant goodbye to even Diet Coke, which had been my go-to since I was a teenager. Incidentally, now I don't even like the taste of it at all, but more on how my taste buds have changed later. Cutting out sugar actually wasn't that simple, because as humans, we are wired to really want sugar. And this stems back to millions of years ago when our ancestors survived off eating rich, ripe, really sugary fruits. And they were naturally drawn to it because not only did it taste good, and it would give them that surge of energy they would need to forage more or run after the animals they were trying to catch for food or run away from the bears or dinosaurs or what have you. So that sugar craving that we have is actually a pretty ancient one. Okay, so when I started, it was tough. Really tough that first week. I really craved something sweet, even just a little bit of ice cream or just a little bit of chocolate. I didn't want a whole lot. I just had no idea until I stopped eating anything sugary how much I would want it. As I said before, companies are putting added sugar in everything. Like I said, spaghetti sauce, ketchup, barbecue sauce. There's a ton of sugar in barbecue sauce, which of course I love. I love yogurt, but it's loaded with sugar. Loaded. And even the healthy cereals out there like granola, it's packed with sugar or honey or agave or something. Even though it's natural, it still has the same effect on your body and your brain. your body still has to process it the same way it processes refined sugar. And companies add it because they know that we love it. They know that we're wired to love it. And so they put sugar in their products, and we'll keep buying them over and over and over again because they taste so damn good. So not only did I have the cravings that first week and the second and third and fourth week, but I'll get to that in a minute, but I started having withdrawal effects actually. And it's not like I ate that much sugar before then. I was floored. I definitely had more trouble sleeping. I was a little bit more irritable. I was, just definitely a little bit gloomier than usual. And, I just wasn't feeling my best. It got easier after week 2. But it was still tough. A lot of willpower, especially at night. A little easier after week 3. And I'm not saying it was easy, just easier than that first week, which was for me by far the toughest. And then by day 30, I kid you not, I looked up and I thought, wow, I don't even want sweets anymore. Like, you could eat an ice cream sundae in front of me and I wouldn't even care. My favorite dessert, brownies a la mode, hot brownies fresh out of the oven with vanilla ice cream and hot chocolate sauce on top. That's my favorite. You could eat it right in front of me, and people did and still do. And it doesn't bother me because for me anyway, once that craving goes away, it's gone until I eat another thing that's sweet or sugary. I swear, one M&M, one Hershey's Kiss, and I kind of have to start all over again. So it's just not worth it. But yeah, after 30 days, and then even more after 60, after 90, I realized I wasn't addicted to sugar anymore. Those cravings were just gone. It was the most freeing feeling. Literally, I could watch others eating my favorite dessert, and I didn't die of envy whatsoever. Now, mind you, if I even take one bite, those cravings come right back. I learned that I'm so much better off not even reminding my taste buds of what that much sugar tastes like, because we're wired as humans to want more. It's that dopamine effect. I mean, now a juicy peach just tastes like the most amazing dessert to me. One raspberry is like a candy. I was absolutely floored by the new freedom I felt just by having quit added sugar and sweeteners. I not only had no more painful, inflamed joints, but also the freedom of no more cravings for sweet foods. It was incredible and so freeing. So I just made a decision to stop consuming most added sugars for the rest of my life. Now, I'm not militant about it anymore. I do use salad dressing, and I might add ketchup to my burger, but I always leave off the bun because, that has a high glycemic index, meaning that just like most breads, especially white flour products, like hamburger buns, hot dog buns, that kind of thing, it basically turns to glucose just like sugar does as soon as it hits your blood, and it has the same effect. So anyway, I'm not militant about the salad dressing and the ketchup anymore. I also allowed myself to drink wine, which is digested differently by your body than sugary sweet foods. And as I said before, I did not cut out whole fruits, even though they're naturally full of fructose. I just try to have no more than one piece of fruit or some berries each day. And once a year on my birthday, of course, I do allow myself to eat a piece of birthday cake. But you know what? I'm always a little freaked out about how overly sweet it tastes to me now. And I always feel kind of gross after eating it. And yes, I do get the joint pain for 4 or 5 days afterwards, which I really hate. But I just do it once a year, so. But I'm telling you, quitting sugar has really, really radically changed my life, both physically and mentally. I mean, it just has so many benefits, I can't even begin to tell you. But it's the kind of thing where you don't even realize how much it affects your body negatively until you go off it. So when we all go out for ice cream or something and I abstain, no, I don't feel bad for myself. I don't miss it. I just know that that day and the next day and the next day and the next day, I'm just going to feel so much more clear mentally and so much better with less inflammation physically. And by the way, that inflammation is true for everybody. I just happen to feel it more because I've got some sort of autoimmune thing going on, and we all have inflammation. So again, I'm not trying to say, oh, sugar's the worst in the world, but for me it is. I'm not going to try and convince you that you should, no shoulding around here. Do whatever you feel is best for you. But if you're tempted to give it a shot, don't give up after the first week, the first 2 weeks, the first 3 weeks, the first 4 weeks. The first month is really hard. But I promise you, if you can get through 30 days, You can do it as long as you want. Read Suicide by Sugar. I don't know if that's the best one out there. It was practically the only one out there when I was looking for a book to help me. But it just gave me so much insight about exactly what's going on inside our bodies. I highly recommend it. So basically that's my experience quitting added sugar that I wanted to share with you guys. If you've enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, but really let me know in the comments what you think of this topic, or if you've ever tried quitting sugar yourself. I'd love to hear about how your experience has been, or if you've quit anything that's changed your life in significant, meaningful ways. I really want to hear it. Thanks again for being here. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.